Hi, my name is Jeremy Miguda, student number 1808829.
Hi, my name is Fatima Abubakar, student number 1901184.
Hi, my name is April Mongai, student number 1900746. On this podcast, our main focus will be Barrick's theory of purposeful work behavior, and this is an article that touches on personality traits, task characteristics, motivational forces, and lastly, what we'll get to know as meaningful experience. With the backing of several models and theories, he argues that all four of these principles come together to form task-specific motivation within an individual. Tying the right personality to the right task will in turn trigger high-order implicit goals, which in turn boosts task-specific motivation. By the end of this podcast, we should be able to conclude how well and to what extent these findings can be applied to the workplace.
Does personality affect the things people strive for?
I think to understand personality, we must first consider that from an unusual and withdrawn to uproarious and intense, the human character is a novel, multifaceted thing. Character alludes to a particular array of qualities, trademark examples of reasoning, feeling, and carrying on. It gets from a blend of characteristic means and tendencies alongside natural factors and encounters. In spite of the fact that character can change through the span of time, one center qualities will in general stay consistent over a lifetime. In psychology, there are 5 proportions that we can use in our study of different personalities to have a better understanding on how personality affects the things people strive for. These 5 main factors include a person's extroversion, agreeableness, neuroticism, conscientiousness, and their openness to experience. People with high levels of extroversion tend to be more agreeable and conscientious, as they are more aware of their actions and the consequences of their behavior. They feel a sense of responsibility towards others and are generally careful to carry out the duties assigned to them. Because of this, they tend to be less neurotic and are more open to experience. Thus, they will in general stress over issues to a lesser degree. Normally, this makes them show more objective, arranged conduct. They set yearning objectives and are spurred to accomplish them. Resolute by difficult work, they're quicker to head to prevail in each part of their lives, incorporating scholastic accomplishments, and in assisting their professions, they set yearning objectives and are persuaded to accomplish them. Undaunted by difficult work, they're acutely headed to prevail in each part of their lives, incorporating scholarly accomplishments and in assisting their professions. People who score profoundly in pleasantness measures are well-disposed and co-employable. Interestingly, they are regularly viewed as increasingly amiable by their friends and partners and are all the more trusting of others and ready to help others people during critical crossroads. Pleasing individuals detest being associated with contentions, struggle with others, and different types of showdowns. They try to conciliate and mollify others, going on about as the intervening harmony producer of their gathering. They can stay more quiet because of distressing circumstances and view issues in relation to their significance. Because of this, they attempt to taste different considerations, social orders, and feelings from even those that challenge their own present feelings and are progressively cheerful, making an excursion to new places. But on the other hand, people with lower levels of extroversion tend to be less agreeable and conscientious, as they are less concerned with pleasing other people and making friends. Because of this, they are more neurotic and therefore less open to experience. Subsequently, they will regularly get baffled with others and may feel irate if occasions don't happen as they wish, as high neuroticism can bring about an individual adapting less effectively to basic stresses in their everyday lives. Their being increasingly unpleasant is because of their unconcern with satisfying others and making companions. This prompts them being progressively suspicious of others' expectations, and at last it makes them less magnanimous. Besides, they're generally calmer and frequently feel bashful around others. They may feel scared being in huge gatherings, for example, parties, meetings, and will frequently attempt to abstain from requesting get-togethers as they favor being a piece of littler social gatherings, ideally with recognizable individuals. Their low degrees of principles is normally reflected in their less spurred conduct. Unconscientious people are less worried by orderliness and timeliness, which may bring about them showing up later than expected to arrangements and gatherings, and being progressively loose in defining life's objectives. Ordinarily, they additionally will in general take part in increasingly hasty conduct, following up on a minute ago impulses as opposed to thinking about the results of their decisions. At long last, I would contend that they feel awkward in new circumstances, and due to this, they will in general favor recognizable situations as they are less open to people making them esteem the security of predictability, which makes their need to endeavor to keep up notable customs and schedules.
Wow. So you're telling me that personality traits have a direct link to job roles and job satisfaction? That's interesting. Now, let's bring in the second principle, which is motivation. Could you tell us a little bit about the motivational theory?
Motivation is concerned with why people behave in a certain way. The basic underlying question is, why do people do what they do? Motivation is gotten from the word intention, which means needs, wants, or drives inside the people. It is the way towards animating individuals to activities to achieve the objectives. In the work objective, setting the mental elements animating the individual's conduct can be due to want for money, achievement, acknowledgement, work fulfillment, collaboration, and so forth. Motivational theory states that the discovery about the individual's drive to work towards a goal. Motivated individuals are more productive and are high performers that lead to more economic use of resources. Most motivational theories differentiate between intrinsic and extrinsic factors. The former are concerned with an individual's interest, enjoyment, and willingness to partake in an activity. People with higher self-confidence and beliefs that their own abilities will lead to success are more likely to have high levels of intrinsic motivation, while extrinsic motivation focuses on the outcome of the activity. Individuals are driven by the outcome rather than the activity itself. Open-minded and trusted leaders can create the trust factor among the employees. Top management such as CEOs, directors, vice presidents, etc. are basically the mentors and role models for their juniors. The leaders who have strong expertise in their fields should help employees to improve employee performance by sharing the knowledge and the information. A positive work climate flourishes by listening to their concerns and agreeing with their ideas. 3 characteristics of the work situation provide social indications which encourage the striving for motivational communal of individuals are social support, interdependence among employees, and interpersonal interaction outside the organization.
I definitely agree with what you're saying, but in my opinion, motivation is something that is elicited or prompted by the right kind of job. What's your take on that?
And here's where the job characteristic model comes in. The model is by Hackman and Oldham and includes 5 main characteristics, which are skill variety, task significance, autonomy, and feedback. This theory argues that every job has social characteristics that vary in degrees to which they are intrinsically motivating and influence job performance. It is said that the jobs that provide greater task identity or skill variety are usually the jobs that have initiate more motivation. For example, a job that involves social roles and allows its employees to interact and develop interpersonal relationships has been found to significantly affect individual motivations. Job characteristics go hand in hand with individual personality traits, like you mentioned earlier in the FFM model. If there's a work situation which involves social support and interdependence amongst each other, if there's an individual that's emotionally stable and agreeable, this employee will thrive in that field. This means that social characteristics really do play a key role in theory because it's giving us a context on how an individual's purposeful work striving personally means to them. So without clear tasks and social characteristics of a job, an individual won't be able to identify and derive the meaning of their purposeful strive. Moreover, to answer your question, it's important to note that not all individual motivations come from task characteristics. Maslow, for example, who's the godfather of motivational theories, came up with a hierarchy of needs. He says that you cannot move to the next stage until you have completed the previous one. The first one is psychological needs, which are food, shelter, and clothing. The second is safety needs, which is the protection from elements such as security, law and order, etc. However, a great example of people that may not surpass this stage would be immigrants who do not have citizenship within a country because they do not benefit from job security and thus will find it quite hard to pass the stage. Those who do so eventually do so by working extra hard or even overtime in a bid to gain what is known as a working visa. The third stage in Maslow's hierarchy of needs is the love and belongingness needs, which includes interpersonal relationships such as friendships, intimacy, and trust. The fourth is esteem needs, which comes from oneself, such as dignity and achievement, and esteem that also comes from society, which includes status and prestige. The last one is self-actualization, which is realizing self-potential, self-improvement, and peak experiences. Unfortunately, not many reach this stage within their lifetime. And the reason for this is because life doesn't happen stage by stage like we think it will. There are constant distractions such as divorce, loss of jobs, death, which will cause an individual to fluctuate or take a step back in between stages. So the greatest advantage of this theory overall, I'd say, is that managers are able to interpret their employees' needs for friendship, job security, and recognition. By doing this, they're creating a self-actualized team member that will operate at their full potential in that business. So this theory in general applies beautifully in the workplace. However, the main disadvantage, as I mentioned above, is that life isn't as straightforward as it seems.
Generally, employee discontent is a significant workplace problem. Employees tend to behave irrationally either when they are not satisfied with their organization or there is a job mismatch. Billions of dollars are lost due to the high turnover each year. The condition can be changed by increasing engagement and motivation in the workforce. According to reports, some of the common factors that affect job satisfaction include the work environment, the nature of the work, your role in the organization, job stability, salary, etc. According to Kigundu, interdependence represents the degree to which other people depend on doing or completing the task and that others rely on the person to complete their work as well. When an individual is motivated and satisfied in their workplace, they will be more likely to set task-specific targets to attain affiliate success. So there is no interdependence when individuals are satisfied, which also brings about higher outcomes of task performance. For example, if I set a goal for myself to relate with people in a certain manner at work or set a goal to hit a specific target, the outcome of these task-specific motivational strategies will be greater job satisfaction and better work performance as well. Make sure all employees are aware of their duties and what is expected of them. Small initiatives like Employee of the Month, Best Performer, not only motivate employees to deliver their level, but also encourages them to behave well at the workplace. Trust them, give them additional responsibilities, and let them make some decisions on their own. Because striving for status is linked to an individual's motivation to obtain power, influence, and prestige within a status hierarchy. Try to know them on a personal level as well. Make them feel comfortable at the workplace if you really expect them to stick around for a long time. After all, one spends the maximum part of his or her day at the workplace.
Wow, wonderful. So I guess to conclude this podcast, what we've gathered from Barak's article is that yes, personality does play a huge factor in what an employee will strive for. The individual's higher order goals will in turn allow them to reach their own version of meaningfulness and purposefulness. In addition, we were able to deduce that motivation doesn't solely stem from the right kind of task alone. We have proof from the motivational theory and Maslow's hierarchy of needs, which all contribute alongside the job characteristics to make an individual fully motivated. Overall, we hope that this podcast can give insight to recruiters and managers on how to best assign their employees to the right job role. This will in turn ensure their highest efficiency during work performance. Thank you so much for listening.
Okay.